let's get into the latest round of cruise cancellations and what it means for the return of cruising and get some clarification on things like itineraries and back-to-back cruises. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, I know everybody has been, we've all heard a lot about these cruise cancellations by Carnival, Holland America, Princess. So I'm going to get into the detail of them and I'll give you a little bit of insight into what is really going on in terms of the return to cruise. And also we are going to answer the question as to what is happening with back-to-back cruises. There has been a lot of confusion about this, so we're definitely going to talk about this in this video. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention, if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative in any way, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And of course, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. So first of the cancellations came from Carnival Cruises. They've canceled all of their cruises up until the end of March. This really didn't come as a surprise. However, they canceled far beyond that. Now, some of their cruise ships have been canceled for several months. Now, what does this mean? Well, firstly, if you are booked on the Carnival Mardi Gras, that cruise ship is still scheduled for an inaugural sailing on April 17th. But outside of that, I couldn't really even begin to go into the list of all the cruise ships that are affected. So I'll leave that in the description below. However, some cruise ships will be going into dry dock and won't be ready to sail until several months from now. Now, what we can surmise from this is that Carnival is getting certain ships ready to be able to start when they do resume, whether that's in April or a little bit later. We just don't know if there'll be another extension, let's face it. But they are getting some ships ready with all of those protocols, and other ships, they're going to go into dry dock and they will come out with those protocols in a certain amount of time. And of course, Carnival has a lot of cruise ships, so this does make a lot of sense. Now, after we had those cancellations from Carnival, we heard from Princess and then Holland America. Princess has canceled all of their cruises up until May 14th. So that includes itineraries, including Mediterranean, Caribbean, Alaska, and Canada, New England. So there are some ripple effects for these itineraries and some concerns. Now, I will talk about Alaska in particular in an upcoming video this week. So make sure, if you are not subscribed and you do want to see that video about Alaska, that you do come back to this channel, and even better, why don't you subscribe to the channel? Because I definitely would love to have you here. Now, if you're wondering why Carnival has canceled up until April 1st versus Princess that is canceled up until May 14th, that was always supposed to be the case, in that Carnival is supposed to sail first out of the whole Carnival group. And Carnival actually has the most passengers that are based in the US, and in many cases they can drive to a port, just making those travel restrictions easier to deal with versus a Princess or even a Holland America passenger. Now, Holland America has canceled all of their cruises up until April 30th. However, they've canceled their Alaska sailings in some cases till the end of May, and in some cases until early June, and their Mediterranean cruises up until early June. Now, interestingly, their Canada, New England sailings that were supposed to sail in the spring and into the summer on the Zamdam, and that is from Montreal to Boston and Boston to Montreal, they have been canceled through August. So let's talk about this sailing. First of all, Canada has a cruise ban up until February 28th. Now, a lot of people believe that that will be extended. I personally do believe it will be extended because our numbers in terms of the pandemic are high. They remain high despite everything that has been going on. The vaccine rollout has been slow in Canada. And if we look at Quebec in particular, which is where this cruise ship would be going to and from Montreal, in Quebec in particular, it is one of the strictest provinces in terms of the protocols and in terms of the lockdowns and restrictions. As a matter of fact, we have a curfew of 8 p.m. here starting today, the day I'm filming this. So it is not good. Now, hopefully things are going to be much better by the time we get to the summer. But right now, I can imagine that that is difficult to envision for the cruise line to be coming into this province, especially early on. At the same time, the Zaandam is a small cruise ship. If it had to run at 50% capacity, perhaps it wouldn't be profitable. Now, little fun fact for you, if you do decide to do a Canada-New England cruise, is that if you are coming to Montreal, only the smaller cruise ships could actually come into Montreal because we have a low bridge versus Quebec City, which can accommodate much larger cruise ships because they don't have that issue. Anyway, little piece of cruise trivia for you before we go on. So now let's talk about cruises restarting, these CDC guidelines, and back-to-back sailings. And I'd like to know what you think as well. Now, Princess shared with travel agents, so this wasn't the overall messaging to everybody, but they did share that they really are working very hard at getting those ships ready for, well, to follow everything that the CDC has put in place. Of course, this is arduous, this is difficult, but cruise ships will be safe for passengers when that happens. Now, they say that they are crossing every T, they're getting all of their ducks in a row, making sure that nothing goes wrong. And we can imagine that if there's anything that does go wrong, well, it could really endanger the future of sailing, at least for the short term, and they definitely don't want that. Now, something that you'll have on Princess cruise ships is the Ocean Medallion program. They have actually, well, they're making some upgrades to it. They're putting this through the entire fleet, and they have some new features that are amazing. I'm going to leave that video at the end of this one, as well as in a card above if you'd like to see, and in the description. I definitely think that if you are sailing with Princess or considering it, that you definitely should watch that video. So now let's talk about back-to-back cruising, because this definitely has been a point of confusion. Well, it looks like we definitely will not be able to do back-to-back cruises. While it is not specifically mentioned in the framework for conditional sailing, it is mentioned on the CDC website, at least in some way. So let me explain. There is still on the CDC website a recommendation against cruise travel. Now, once cruising does begin, while you can take a cruise, the CDC does have recommendations for, well, I guess everybody's safety. And that is that you should take a test 3 to 5 days after the cruise. So even if you've taken a test at disembarkation, even if you've come back negative, they say that you should take a test anyway at 3 to 5 days later, and that you should stay home for another 7 days. So cruise lines cannot go against the CDC recommendation and accept people on a back-to-back sailing. At the same time, there are unconfirmed rumors or reports that the CDC will know if you are booked on one cruise ship and plan to get off and go on another, and that they will be getting reports about that. Now, obviously, talk about this with your travel agent or your cruise line, and keep in mind that this is something that's only in place for now up until November 2021, and could even expire before if the CDC does change its recommendations before then, but I think that it is probably unlikely, so it is something to keep in mind when you are making your bookings. So that's what we know about the cancellations and back-to-back sailings. Now, for now, we have not heard from Royal Caribbean, from Celebrity, from MSC, and from Disney as to when they are going to be restarting or what new cancellations they have put in place. I'm definitely anxious to hear that, and I will comment on that in a video as soon as, well, we hear a little bit more. Now, I'd like to know what you think. When do you believe that cruising is going to come back? Has anything surprised you in all of this? Please let me know in the comments below. Now, if you did like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And of course, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks so much for watching, and happy cruising.